On today's show, our friend Mike Kelly from Sport Logic drops by to try and convince us that the Senators' season isn't dead yet.
And we've got a big weekend coming up. We preview games at home against the Carolina Hurricanes and Vegas Golden Knights.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today is Friday, January 23rd, and Pillsy, the Ottawa Senators cannot hold on to a lead.
I hate that this is a trend, Ross, and for 3 of the last 4 games, the Ottawa Senators have blown two-goal leads, including one with 4 minutes, 40 seconds left in the game, a 6-5 overtime loss. And I don't know, Ross, but I honestly think this one might be the worst of the bunch because you had a 3-goal lead and the Nashville Predators scored 5 unanswered goals to win 5-3. The game-winning goal by the Preds happens with 1 minute and 13 seconds left. You were that close to at least guaranteeing yourself a point and getting an opportunity to get 2 points. And I feel like, Ross, when you have 2 teams that are not only different divisions, but different conferences, they kind of play a more reserved game to get to overtime just so that they know they have that guarantee. And it seems like the Ottawa Senators were comfortable doing that. And the Nashville Predators were like, nah, we got the momentum. We're going to take this one and win it in regulation. And that's what they did.
Yeah, the Predators smelled blood clearly in the third period. And sure, did they get some power play help? Yeah, but at the end of the day, the Ottawa Senators need to be more disciplined at the same time. They've now given up 18 power play opportunities in their last 4 games, and the penalty kill has just been brutal. And then they finally have a great kill, the 4-minute penalty, where Tim Stützle himself killed off a number of seconds from that. But you look at right after a brutal line change, you give up a 2-on-0. Like you were down a man and you had better defensive structure than you did when you got back to 5-on-5. So there's a lot where you can kind of feel sorry for yourself. Like we've covered a lot of bad Ottawa Senators teams. This is objectively a good team on paper, but the mental lapses that they have, whether you're talking about plays within a game or times within a game, it's just inexcusable. And that's why they find themselves where they are right now.
And for once, Ross, we can't just turn the page to the old trick. The goaltending let this team down, because sure, the numbers don't look great, but James Reimer was very good in this game. He made huge saves. And if you look at the goals he gave up, there's not a single one that I'm like, you got to have that one. Like all of them were really good scoring opportunities and at
cross ice one-timers.
Yeah. And then the game winner, like, what's he supposed to do there? That's a puck batted out of midair where he got a piece of it, and then Stamkos finishes it off because Jensen and Shabbat, both of them were on that puck in tight, going for it behind the net, and that leaves Stamkos open out front. Like this one was not on James Reimer. I still thought he played a good game. So it's tough when you're used to going back to the old hat of goaltending's not good enough, but that can't be the story in this one. Like, how do you drop a 3-0 lead and lose 5-3 in regulation? It's frustrating.
Well, we always talk about momentum goals, and obviously it's not a momentum goal when it's in the final minute of the game to win it. It's a exclamation mark goal. But I'll go back to the end of the second period. Senators couldn't get out of that period with a 3-goal lead, and it's a completely different game if you're able to do that. And do I love the penalty? Excuse me, that Jordan Spence took for hooking? I felt like it was a pretty soft call, let's say, in front of the net. It was a scramble play where Reimer was swimming a little bit, and Forsberg ends up hitting the crossbar on that play. If anything, I thought the penalty was going to go to the defenseman who was tying, like the other guy, I think it was Clevin in front, that was making a different play. And then I saw Spence go. I was like, what the heck? He was just in a battle with a guy who's 6 inches taller than him, and I felt like he just kind of tied up his stick. I mean, I thought that was just textbook, boxing out in front of the net, but unfortunately gets called there. And that power play goal to me is what put the wheels in motion for them to at least have the confidence going into the room. Like, hey, we're in this game. We're 2 shots away. We can do this. The crowd gets into it. And then, I mean, ever since they made it 3-2, you could kind of feel it coming. It didn't take long, just under 2 minutes between the So goal to make it 3-2, and then ultimately the tying goal in this game. And Stamkos gets a hat trick, 2 power play goals. Senators penalty kill, 60% again. Save percentage looks brutal, but again, can't pin this one on Reimer at all. He made a couple tremendous saves, pulling one off the goal line with his stick, the right to left pad save on the rebound. Like, the Ottawa Senators let him down, and I'm thankful, not just as a goalie-friendly show, but as a Senators fan. You're looking at that, and it's almost like it gives them an excuse, a free pass, if you will. And there's no time for that. There's no more of that. This team just needs to be more mature, more mentally stable within a game where they can't let these momentum swings cost them games like they have recently.
Well, I'm glad to talk about momentum swings, Ross, because that's where I want to go with this. I actually disagree with you. I don't think that first goal by the Predators was that big of a deal. Like, at that, like, they score on the power play. We know the penalty kill sucks. You're going into the third period up 3-1 still. The backbreaker for me was the So goal, because like you said, talk about momentum. The Sens kill off a double minor penalty with a penalty kill that's terrible. And seconds later, it leads to a 2-on-0 where you get scored on. For the love of God, why isn't Travis Green calling a timeout there? Like, you just went from huge momentum shift in your favor, killing off a double minor, and then 5 seconds later, swing back to the Nashville Predators scoring an emphatic 2-on-0 goal, and that crowd goes nuts. Call the timeout there. Find a way to get your guys composed, and he doesn't do that, and you just, like, the momentum just snowballs more and more into the Nashville Predators' favor. And I know maybe some people are sick of hearing me complain about the timeouts. Like, it can be viewed as such a minor thing, but we've seen, like, go back to that first Buffalo game. Remember when Lindy Ruff called that timeout when the Sens were storming back, and that stopped the momentum, or at least it seemed to stop the momentum for the Sens, and then the Sabres were able to go on and continue and finish out that game. Like, I don't know. I just, it's baffling to me that in a game with this many momentum swings, especially that goal, that there wasn't a timeout called.
And you have to be aware of that for that 3-2 goal. But at the same time, like, that was a bit of a cheeky line change from the Nashville Predators. I'm pulling it up right now, the NHL Edge, and So and Bunting both just jumped on the ice. And as they get the puck going in on a 2-on-0, Stamkos and Forsberg still aren't off the ice. They have 7 players on the ice, and the guy who came on is touching the puck in a no doubt scoring situation, a breakaway. Like,
send it to the league, Ross. We are in protest of that goal.
Well, we'll lose another first-round pick if we do that. But it is just kind of the unfortunate bounces that you have within a game. But the biggest unfortunate bounce was Ridley Gregg not getting the second goal of the game. Like, I just don't understand how that happens. He gets pushed into the goalie, puck goes in the net, and the ref standing right there blows it down, and that's not a reviewable play either. So unless the refs want to look at it, the Senators can't challenge that, unfortunately, because that should have been a goal.
Yeah, Jack and I were watching that. We didn't even realize it went in at first. We were more just talking about Ridley Gregg. And then the replay, the puck's in the net. And we're like, oh, nice. That's a goal. We're going to get one here. Or at least they're going to review it. But the ref emphatically is going no goal, no goal. So, yeah, that's a frustrating one for sure. And I think, Ross, also the frustrating part of this is it completely demoralizes the positives from this game. Stephen Halliday, first NHL goal to open up the scoring. Then you got Ridley Gregg, an incredible play offensively to get that goal, the one that counted I'm talking about. And then it was a nice play. Also, I don't understand how Brady Tkachuk got credited with that goal. Like, I've watched that replay time and time again. It was clearly Dylan Cousins that tips that goal in. But there's so many positives from that game that you could be celebrating, and then you're 2 points closer to that wild card spot, because the out-of-town scoreboard was not kind to the Ottawa Senators last night. So that's one where you need to make your own luck and do work on your own, and they can't get it done. And it's too bad.
It's too bad would be an understatement. This is the most demoralized that I've been as an Ottawa Senators fan since we started this podcast. No first round pick to look forward to. Yeah. No movement from the general manager. He feels content to just watch his team slip away again. And this will be the end of Steve Stamkos' third full year with the Senators. One playoff appearance right now. I'm just saying that it feels like
the way
he handled the backup goal. Look at our offseason checklist for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah,
Top
pull it
six
up if
scoring
you can
winger.
find it.
Didn't get one. Veteran backup goalie didn't get one. That could be the difference of the season right here.
Big time.
I think we said a right shot defenseman as well. They did get Jordan Spence, but I mean, they had to have known Nick Jensen. The surgery was last summer. They clearly don't have trust in Nicholas Matanpalo. The guy played one game. They threw him in on the road, second half back-to-back against Colorado. Played 14 minutes. They're like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, that was so unfair to Matanpalo.
Ridiculous. I'm starting to think that this regime has too much confidence in their guys, the guys they brought in. And it's costing them. Nick Jensen's a perfect example of that. It's unfortunate, but how many of the moves that they've made have helped? Dylan Cousins has been good. That was still a good trade. Josh Norris, the injuries just couldn't have that $7.95 million question in your lineup every night. Yep. That's a good move. Michael Amadio, very good signing for that cost. David Perron, okay. Give that like a 6.5 out of 10. A little expensive, but he has had his moments. Fabian Zetterlund, complete flop at this point.
Yeah,
complete flop.
Especially with the extension added on there.
Linus Ullmark, and I'm only talking about his play. Not good enough.
Yep.
Just not good enough. .899 save percentage since coming to Ottawa. Not good enough.
Jordan Spence was a really good move too, though.
Jordan Spence was a real nice move for sure. Yeah, that's valid to say. I mean, this is a tough spot the Senators find themselves in. We'll see if they can fix it. But on the other side, we do have Mike Kelly, who says there's still hope. And if Mike Kelly says there's still hope, we'll allow it for now.
We'll allow hope for now is the quote from Ross Levitan.
Well, we just tweeted it out. The Sens have 32 games left. They need at least 42 points. That means that if there's 0 overtime losses the rest of the way, the Senators can afford 11 more losses.
Yeah, let's do the roadmap to those points on the other side of it, because I think that leads into this weekend.
Well, no, let's do it on Monday, because this weekend will tell us a lot about the Ottawa Senators. It will tell us a lot. You're going to have a crabby Carolina team, and we'll tell you more about what to expect from the weekend after our chat with Mike Kelly, which is coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here. The championship round is next. 4 teams left. 2 of them are going to go to the big game, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day. During the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. So right now, every playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts will give you more juice on the bets you already like. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
All right, we now welcome a very special guest back to Locked On Senators for the 4th time. He's an Ottawa native, and you can find him on NHL Network. Also a part of Sport Logique. Mike Kelly, welcome back, Locked On Senators. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Good to be back with you. 4th time. That's one more, and I get a free hat or something, don't I?
Oh yeah, the merch is en route. Just ask Dean Brown. We're men of our words. Sometimes we send meat as well, some steaks. So hey, no pressure, but that next visit could be a big one. So we'll see you on Monday for that one, Mike. But you have a couple demoralized people you're chatting with right now. Is there any hope for the Ottawa Senators right now?
Yeah, there is. It's funny, right? Like last night, thinking they're cruising their way to a win. Come on here, talk about how they've won a couple games in a row. Reimer's giving them stability in the net, and now it's a totally different conversation. But the one thing that, whether they had won that game or not, that I think has kind of been true this year, has been true in recent years, they're just an inconsistent team. And they can win a game and you're like, that's a playoff team. And then they can lose a game and you're like, how did you lose that game? So that's kind of a common thread that I would be, if you're a Sens fan, probably frustrates you, because you watch them some nights and you're like, oh, we're humming, this line's going and Sanderson's doing his thing, whatever it might be. And then that happens.
It's crazy, Mike. So many blown leads, so many inexcusable losses. Now, how can you try to convince Sens fans that stats still matter? Because a lot of Sens fans are looking at advanced analytics like 5-on-5 expected goals. And you look at the Sens, you're like, this is a good team based on that stat. Like, there's so many stats that you can look at for the Sens, and you're like, based on this, and this team should not be where they are in the standings. Like, is there any kind of a way you can look at that and explain why this is happening?
Yeah. And I think it tells part of the story. Like, they score enough goals, right? And their power play is good, and that's fine. We can talk about the offense if you want, but there's no real problem there. They operate at a playoff team type level. Defensively is where a lot of the conversation's been, because the goaltending this year, as everybody knows, hasn't been good enough at all, to the point that they go out and get James Reimer, who comes in and gives you a little bit of stability in a short period of time. And I would not hang the loss against Nashville on Reimer. This season, like, shots against, this is all per game, they're top 5. Slot shots against, quality ones, they're top 5. Rush chances, cycle chances, top 10 in both. High danger chances are 6th. Break it down any way you want. It's top 10, top 5, top 10, top 5 in terms of what they allow defensively. And then the goaltending's been bad, and they're 27th in goals against. So that's not a new story. If the goaltending had been average, they'd be top 10 in goals against, and you'd be talking about a team that's probably sitting in a playoff spot. So, I think most Sens fans know that, but that's the reality of where they're at. And the recent play, like, they've given up multi-goal leads in 3 of their last 4 games, I think. The recent play, no, the defense hasn't been good enough either.
So a question on that note, Mike, because we heard from Levitan a couple weeks ago saying that as a goalie, sometimes when you get less shots, it's actually harder. Do you buy into that, or how can that be fixed, quote unquote? Because if you're doing all the right things, but then your goalie's saying, hey, like, maybe give up a couple more shots. Like, I don't know how, it's almost like a bit of a catch-22 there.
Yeah, give up some more grade A's, see how it goes.
Right.
Like,
a couple more 2-on-0s?
Yeah, sure. You hear that from goalies. I never played goalie in the NHL. I can't opine on that, other than you do hear that it can be tough when you're not seeing a lot of action. Now, obviously, you're not going to say, okay, let's open it up and let our goalie get 40 shots and feel the game. So it's, fair enough. But, like, at the same time, it's exactly it. Like, what do you want us to do? Be worse defensively? So, like, the end of the day, goalies have to stop the puck. Whether you get 18 shots, 28, 38, how many ever grade A's, like, your job is to stop the puck. And I think Merelainen got put into a bit of an unfair situation where he had, was it 11 games in a row he started?
Yeah, 10 starts, 11 games coming in.
10 starts, 11 games. That's an unfair ask of a guy who hasn't proven he can do that at the NHL level. But an unexpected circumstance came to be, and, he had to do it, and he does the best he can. At the end of the day, it's not good enough. So, that's where I thought, like, Jake Sanderson kind of walked back some comments. And when he made those comments, I thought they were true, but also not entirely fair, because, like, if this is your starting goalie, your big contract, your guy who's proven it in the past and just isn't doing it, I think that's a different situation. So I, organizationally, in terms of what if something happens to our number one, they weren't in a good spot. And there's blame to be placed there as well. So you need saves. That's it. I mean, you watch when teams get them, what happens. Look at the Red Wings. Like, John Gibson wasn't hacking it the first 2 months of the season. Talbot's okay. Gibson's been a Vezina candidate since then, and that team's humming along.
So another question, and goaltending, obviously the number one. Tough time to be a goalie-friendly show, eh? We branded ourselves that, like, literally when we started this show in 2019, and that was the end of the Craig Anderson era. And you could go through just a murderer's row of goaltending that's killed the Ottawa Senators since then. So we're in a real tough spot here. But one thing we always felt like we had was a core group of players that cared, that want to do well, from the lottery boys, as I call them, with Stützle, Tkachuk, and Sanderson, and the list goes on and on. But there's a segment of Sens fans, and at the start, we kind of just brushed it off, but it's getting louder and louder around Brady Tkachuk. Just the fact that away from the puck, and there's just not that intensity at certain points in the game. Now, since he's been back, he has 26 points in 27 games. Is there reason to be concerned with Brady Tkachuk's play based on the numbers, or is this just kind of fans looking to blame the leadership when things aren't going well?
I mean, I'm not concerned. I think I'm not going to tell the fans what to do or what to think. They pay money. They watch the games. They can have their opinions. He didn't have a great game last night. We know that, right? There wasn't much that he contributed, positively to that game, but I'd be pretty careful about getting too hard on this guy. He's the captain of the team. He's a very valuable player. He's a unique player. There aren't really other guys like him. He still, like you said, is putting up numbers when it comes to the things that he does well and should be doing, which is being a power forward, producing offense from the net front area. He still does those things at an elite rate in terms of just being there and getting there and doing the things that he's done in the past. So we got Mitch Marner coming back to Toronto tonight. That's going to be an ugly one. I think part of the reason why Mitch Marner's not in Toronto anymore is because of how volatile things got with criticism, etc. I'd want Brady Tkachuk on my team, tell you that much.
Let's try to get some positivity here, Mike. If we can try. I'm known as Positive Pillsy. I'll try to do that here and see if you can help me out. All right. Who is someone on the Sens team that you look at and you kind of say, based on the analytics that we have available to you, is having a really nice season or has impressed you in that sense?
There's a few guys. Ridley Gregg's playing really well lately.
Yeah.
Michael Amadio, he's always been a guy, even going back to his LA days, that's had, from an analytics standpoint, an impact on the game that I believe helps you win. And I've talked about this before on Sens broadcasts, I don't know, a month or so ago, about his forechecking ability and literally being one of the better forechecking forwards in the NHL. And we know that line, when the three guys are together and they're going, can be one of the best kind of depth lines in the league. So he's a guy. Sanderson is brilliant. He's so good in so many areas. So is Tim Stützle and beating guys one-on-one in certain elements of his game. Pinto's just the perfect guy in his spot when he's playing at his best. There's a lot of positives there. And that's maybe the thing, again, that frustrates a little bit, is you're like, this is a good team. And again, I don't want to belabor the goaltending situation. That's been talked about enough. But even that aside, there's just still a lot of inconsistency in the way that the team plays. And I was talking about Colorado the other day. I don't know what their record is at this point, 101-1, whatever it is. They don't lose. But the thing is, they don't lose a bunch in a row. And when you're that good, the thing that impresses me the most about their record, how easy would it be to get a little bit just kind of meh and coast a bit here and there over a condensed 82 game schedule? They don't do it. They don't do it. And I think with the Sens, there's times where you're like, this doesn't make sense. They're better than that. Why the inconsistency? How can you be this good in this game and then have an effort like that in the next game? I don't know, until that kind of works itself out of the game. They need, at this point, let's just say you want to get to 95 points to kind of be in that mix for a playoff spot. They need 42 points in their last 30 games?
Yeah. I got them at 10 regulation losses available to them right now. Throw a couple loser points in there, 2-7 in overtime, Mike. So that's the other part of it too. You can blame goaltending. That's 5 extra points or 7 that you've left on the table. They're 7 points out of a playoff spot right now. So Last year, they were great in overtime. This year, unfortunately, it just hasn't gone their way. And you are where you are in the standings because of it. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Mike, and your former colleague at SportLogic, Sean Tierney, now the director of analytics with the Ottawa Senators. If you were in his position, what kind of advice would you be giving to the general manager approaching, whether it's the trade freeze in February or the trade deadline? Is there something that you'd be looking to add, or because of being 7 points out, bunch of teams in between, you'd look at it a different direction?
Well, I think you kind of nailed it. That's a tricky one to assess right now, right? Because you don't exactly know where you're going to be. And that's most of the Eastern Conference. And I also don't really view it that way either. I think there's going to be a macro view of where you want the organization to go kind of in the long term as you're continuing to build it out, just aside from this season alone. But I don't have that many qualms with the roster. I think on defense, again, I'd have to look at the contract situations and everything. Is there something that can be done there? Like I was a big proponent of Nick Jensen, and I loved when they got him, because I'm like, this is a good shutdown guy that they need in their top four, and this is going to be whatever, really good. I feel like, I don't know if it's injury related or whatever. He's just been off a bit this year from what he has been in the past, what he can be. But again, the team defensively as a whole has been quite good in terms of just not giving up a lot of offense. So I think you'll need a little bit more time to play out to understand, like, okay, we're out of it, or no, we're actually in it. Do we want to add a piece? I wouldn't go extreme in either direction, though. If you know that they're in it, I wouldn't sell the farm to go for it this year. And if you know that they're out of it, I wouldn't give up on this roster, because it's still a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, I guess the one thing you kind of have to balance, and analytics don't show it, but the morale of the team, because you saw Brady after the game-winning goal last night snap his stick. We were dangerously close, Mike, to a Keith Ballard, Thomas Vokoun situation there.
Well, yeah. Well, the ref behind the net too was like, he's
it's like Brady,
so.
We finally found a goalie that can stop a puck here. Like we can't be whacking his head off here.
No, it's it was just tough the way it all went down. Like I've kind of stood up for the penalty kill from a structural standpoint. And this is where, if there's been any criticism on Travis Green, I don't really get on board with that, because a coach can control the process, right? He can't control whether that grade A shot goes in the net or not. He can't control whether that perimeter shot beats his goalie when it shouldn't, but he can control structurally what goes there and what comes back, right? And the penalty kill, by and large, I think has been fine in how it's defended. Now, recently it hasn't, and fair enough. But man, the 2-on-0 is just a killer at that time.
After you kill a 4-minute penalty, like
I know, and and then the dump in, Jensen goes back on a puck, and it just ends up in a wide open shot in front of your net. Like 2 seconds later, things that can't happen, but it's a game. They got Carolina at home Saturday.
Oh, hey, 2-1 against Carolina last year. Come on.
What if you go out and beat Carolina? Then you're having a totally different chat. But that's the thing. This team can do it, and they might do it because they can play really well when they're at their best. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, last night was the first night I questioned Travis Green, and I'll tell you why. Stephen Halliday, we're big fans of his. Yep. Great.
Yeah, me too.
Score his first NHL goal last night. He played 2 shifts in the third period, and one of them was after they went down with the empty net. Like, I don't know, bringing a guy off the bench who's been sitting for an hour of real life time, I just felt like was a bit of a strange decision. But yeah, when you mentioned that Jensen play, like if you're coaching that, would you not just tell him to rim it hard around the boards and just try to get it out? Because he was going in with a lack of speed, knowing that he just wanted to hold it behind the net. Like, is that structurally not the play to just get it out?
No, I mean, you couldn't see what happens. I don't hate the fact that he did what he did. I think Shabbat kind of was caught in between and trying to help him or trying to protect the net front. I'm not hanging this all on Jensen for what happened there. Just like as a whole, you don't want to see that happen. So, yeah, tough one. I mean, you can break it down a million different ways of all these events that occurred to allow Nashville to come back and win that game. But that's a game you have to have. I think that's why it stings so much is now you're coming back home and you've got a few tough opponents coming up, and it's like, you want to go into Carolina with a couple wins and feeling good about yourself. Although Carolina just lost in a shootout to Chicago last night. They'll be mad.
Yeah. Pre-scout for me with Carolina is don't fight Alex Nikishin.
No, stay away from him. Carolina had five power plays in that game and didn't score. And the Hawks have a great penalty kill. So, you got an angry power play that didn't do anything against the penalty kill that needs some help right now. We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, the Hurricanes are they're not the same old Carolina team. Like, they attack off the rush. They play with a little bit more hold on to the puck mentality than they have in the past. Honestly, I think Ottawa's a little bit more like old Carolina than new Carolina's like Carolina, if that makes sense.
Final question for me, Mike, and it's been awesome having you on here. Every time we have you on, we feel a little bit smarter, which is tough to get two guys like Ross and I to do, so we appreciate that. It's more of a general advanced analytic question. Well, and first, I want to clear this up. Ross and I always call it sports logique. We throw the little French on the end there. Is it sports logique or logic? Let's clear that up first.
It's neither, so you're just off on all fronts. Brandon.
No logic there.
Yeah, sport, singular, logic.
Okay, sport
now,
logic.
If you want to throw in the sport logique because we're a company that was founded in Montreal, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to say that's wrong, but there is no S in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this. So with different companies that analyze advanced analytics, like Sport Logic.
Nailed it.
Bing.
Bang. I was just curious, and we've had some Sens fans ask this as well. When it comes to things like high danger scoring chances, medium danger scoring chances, etc., there's some confusion as to how that is noted. Is there like one central way that these advanced stats are recorded, and then companies like you, Natural Stat Trick, they use that? Or do you each record and decide internally what is a high danger scoring chance and what isn't? I'm just curious how, with the advancement in advanced analytics, that each company does it, or is there one base that you all use and then plug into your models?
Each company does it their own way.
Okay.
Yeah. And so there are proprietary data companies like ours. There are public websites. The public sites aren't going to have the same information or as much information as we have to put into these things. So we couldn't build them the same way, the two, right? They're different data sets. How we do it, and I can't speak for other companies like us, but how we do it for high danger chances, grade A, grade B, grade C, is it's not just about, the shot came from this location, so it's a grade A or a grade B or a grade C. It has to do with the goal probability of the shot. If it meets a certain threshold, a certain expected goal value, it would be a grade A or a grade B or a grade C or not a scoring chance. So that's what it has to do with. And the reason for that is, imagine you've got the puck in the hash marks right in the middle of the circles, right at the hash marks. And you're standing there stationary and you take a wrist shot on a goalie who has no screen and is set up in front of you. The odds of you scoring on that shot versus the exact same location, but it's a cross ice one-timer with a screen, are very different, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't just do it based on location. The second one I just explained might be a grade A, certainly a grade B. The first one might not be a high quality chance at all. So to answer your question, we do it differently, and it's based on the historical goal probability of that shot type.
And just quickly, does the players involved affect that at all? Like the shooter, the goalie, the defenseman making the screen, or that's not a part of the equation at all? Or is that just a whole different thing?
It doesn't, but you can look at it that way, and I think there's value in that. So the reason that it doesn't, and I hear this most from like ex-players that are analysts that I talk to that are like, well, what if it's Ryan Reeves versus Austin Matthews taking the shot? Doesn't that matter? Well, it does for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of sample size, you get a much greater band if you don't factor the specific shooter in, because it's not just like, oh, this is every shot Tim Stützle has taken from this spot. This is every shot Tim Stützle has taken from this spot with that same cross ice pass, with that same screen, with that same angle to the net, all these different things, right? And then that starts to get real small on one player. But you can look at it both ways, and there is value in doing it.
Yeah, interesting, because I mean, Sens fans have seen way more than enough of Steven Stamkos over his years with Tampa, and then we thought he was gone, Mike. We thought he was gone, and then he gets a hat trick, and those are some vintage Stamkos one-timers to start it out, and then bats one out of midair to finish the game. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on, Mike. Truly, it's obviously a pretty tough day for Sens fans right now, demoralizing, but there is still a little bit of hope, and they just got to go and get some points that maybe they shouldn't get against some really good teams coming to town. And we look forward to seeing you next on the TSN broadcast. And final question for me is, how do you keep your schedule going? Because I saw you on like 25 different shows yesterday.
It was a lot. You know what the good thing is? You're just talking about hockey, right? So you go from one set to the next, one network to the next. It's all the same hockey discussion. If I have to start talking about, the speeches in Davos going on or whatever else that's happening in the world that's way more important, I'm in trouble. But I like talking about this stuff, so it's all good.
Well, I'll ask you one then about Europe. Is Canada the favorite for the Olympics, men's hockey?
Yeah, they have to be.
Okay, good.
What do we do? Regardless of the circumstances, what do we do at best on best? We win.
Yeah.
Right?
I just want to cheer for a winner, Mike. Just want to cheer for a winner.
Yeah, well, you'll probably get the chance. And I know the American fans, they talk about Canadian tears.
Yep.
We're not going over there to beat USA. We're going there to win a gold medal, because that's what we do.
There you go. Love it, Mike. Love it. Well, we're looking forward to all that coverage from you, and always appreciate you. Everybody already knows you're over on social media. Everyone can find you on Twitter at Mike Kelly NHL, Sport Logic, and the NHL Network. Thanks for doing this, Mike.
Anytime, guys. Great to see you again.
Stick taps to Mike for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. Always enjoy getting his insight on the show. He mentioned it that Carolina is going to be coming in crabby after a loss in overtime to the Chicago Blackhawks. Their power play was brutal in that game. Senators need a hope and a prayer to get.
And speaking of teams coming in crabby, Ross, this goes without saying, but we need to hope that the Vegas Golden Knights absolutely steamroll the Maple Leafs. First, we want to see as much Leafs fan sadness as possible. Second, obviously, you want the Western teams to beat the Eastern teams. But third, imagine if that game doesn't go well for them and then they're coming in pissed off after losing Marner's return to Toronto and Ottawa as their next opponent. That is not a situation you want to find yourselves in if you're the Sens, in my opinion.
No, but they also have found themselves in a situation where they haven't been good enough at home. I'm talking about Ottawa, and this record of 11-9-4 at home is just not good enough. You're not going to win in any sort of long-term plan unless you have a good home record. You just won't. And I think Ottawa right now has to look at this 4-game homestand and forget about the teams that are coming in. Who cares if it's Carolina, Vegas, Colorado, and New Jersey? You need to make up for points that you've left on the table. There's no excuses. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here on Monday saying, oh, they lost to a good team. No.
Yeah.
Senators already beat Vegas this year. They have beaten Carolina 2 of the last 3 times they played them. You have to win games in this league. And I mean, they're in a tough spot right now. They're in a really tough spot because there's a lot of players on this team that, if you look at just the numbers, are playing well, but the breakdowns that they're having within a game are unacceptable. And with the margin of error so small, it's costing them at the end of the day. So for me this weekend, we're not going to go through the lines or anything. Full day off for Ottawa. And before people go, what, a day off after that? They just got back from a road trip back to back this weekend. The schedule is wild right now. It's understandable that they needed a day off today. But tomorrow, Sunday, no excuses. You have to finish this weekend with 4 points. Like, I know that's a high bar, maybe unrealistic, but you gave up 2 points last weekend. You gave up 2 points last night. There's no excuses to not go out and play like your season is on the line, because frankly, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll limit my expectations to focus more on the Carolina game, Ross. That's a team in the East. I know you're not going to catch them, but at the same time, you just don't want to be giving up points to Eastern Conference teams. And that's the first home game. That's the one I'm going to be focusing on. The Vegas game is still important. Points are points, but you're going to be on the second half of a back-to-back there. And who's going to play net for that Vegas game, right? Like, obviously, James Reimer is going to play the Carolina game. I think that goes without saying. But are you going to trot a veteran goalie who's barely played in back-to-back games? Is Linus Ullmark going to feel like he's ready? Is Hunter Shepard going to be starting that game up against the Vegas Golden Knights? Like, that's where things are going to get really tricky for the Ottawa Senators. So for me, you got to find a way to get at least 2 points in this one. I am looking at the strength of these teams. Unfortunately, like, if it was other teams, like, these are 3 of the 4 teams, Ross, that we both have pegged as our most feared teams. The only one not here is probably the Edmonton Oilers, the team that always has their way with the Sens. Like, so it's going to be tough. And I had a lot of people telling me, Pillsy, enough is enough. You got to press the panic button. And that's totally fine after losing a game like that. That's where the emotions lie for Sens fans. I don't know. I guess I don't have a logical explanation for when and how I press the panic button, Ross. There's not like a black and white. If this happens, press it. If this doesn't happen, don't press it. It's a feel thing. I didn't fully feel like it was time yet. Maybe I'm just hoping for a miracle in the next couple stretch of games here before the Olympic break. But man, is it getting close? And
see, I'm beyond the panic button. I'm at the demoralize button right now. I need some sort of hope to get myself convinced the Senators can do this, because they haven't shown in any long, consistent way that they're a good team with results to back that up. Yeah, no, and that's fair. I guess I'm just hoping on a prayer and banking for a miracle, which is not a sensible thing to do with this team and this franchise, especially this year. But and the worst part is every team around them won last night. Every single team. And the Sabres are looking legit. Like, this looks real for them. Like, I was kind of like, okay, it's fun they got that 10-game win streak, but now that Josh Norris is out long term, that's going to really put a hole in their lineup. They're not going to be able to do this consistently. They're going to fall out of it. Some of the Metro teams, I was like, yeah, I don't believe that they can sustain this kind of play. They're going to fall out of it as well. Like, at some point, you just got to look in the mirror as a Sens fan and be like, other teams are not going to help you, and other teams seemingly are not falling out of it here. If anything, they're going to get better and add reinforcements at the deadline or near the deadline, and they're going to get better, and the Sens probably aren't going to do that with the way things are going. So it's not looking good here. That's for sure. No, it's not looking good at all, but things can change in a hurry. And despite last weekend not feeling good, the Senators did still go 0-2, which means that in their last number of sets of weekend back-to-backs, they've been elite. They've frankly been elite. They're 13-0-3 in their last 8 sets of weekend back-to-back. So there's a little positivity from us to wrap up today's show. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day, especially on days like today, because this was a tough one to get out of bed in the morning and say, hey, let's go be positive about this team. The demoralization is certainly a verb I would use to describe how I'm feeling about the Ottawa Senators right now, but the players need to take it upon themselves to be better. So my final thoughts on today's show is go out and be the team you think you are for 60 minutes. Or 120. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we need more than that. Yeah, I don't have any final thoughts. I'm just sad and hoping for a miracle. I'm just hoping for a change. I'm hoping that something changes, because this recipe needs seasoning. It needs to go back in the oven for a couple extra minutes. It needs that a little love and care, a little TLC on this roster would go a long way. So Jack's a sicko. He's going to do the live stream tomorrow night for the game. So tune in for that. This guy, he's such a warrior. We love having him as part of the crew here. And go give him a follow on social media as well. And then we'll have the postcast for you tomorrow night and Sunday night as the Ottawa Senators take on the Carolina Hurricanes at 7:00. And then on Sunday, it is a 5:00 start. Make sure that if you're going to the game to check out the GLEBE Central Pub shuttle, just $18 round trip to and from the CTC. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.